Hey, what is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I am just out today doing a little mushroom foraging and taking my dogs, the adventure dogs, out for a bit of a tromps as I am leaving tomorrow on, surprise, surprise, a several-day backcountry fishing trip, and I need to get some of their energy out so that they don't drive the adventure wife crazy while I'm gone. So if you've been following along with the channel for a while, you will have seen that I spend quite a lot of time outdoors. I do a lot of fishing, a lot of small game hunting, and mushroom foraging, and I cook all those things up out in the backcountry. So I thought I would take a minute and show you guys my Backcountry Cook Kit, what I use to cook up all that stuff out in the mountains. So let's go over this, take a quick look at it, and I'll go over some of the pros and cons and why I chose what I chose. So just a real quick overview. I got a frying pan, I got utensils, coarse fuel, a pot to cook in, and gotta have a knife. Let's start out with the frying pan. So this is the MSR. You can see that. This is the MSR. I believe it's just called the quick skillet or MSR skillet or MSR pan. I don't think it has any, super fancy names. This is a, I believe, 7-inch skillet. It weighs, according to my scale at home, 6.5 ounces, and it is made of aluminum and has a non-stick coating on the inside. It also comes with a handle that can detach, and then if you want it to, it just folds up like so. Now, I really love this frying pan. I've had it for several years, and it has worked really great for me. I don't know if you guys can see, but the non-stick coating in there is still in like near pristine condition. And that's because I don't use any metal in it, and I try not to overheat it. And of course, I don't use this over a fire. I only use it over or with my Jetboil. Obviously, I do a lot of backpacking, and so weight and space are an issue for me. At 6.5 ounces, this thing doesn't weigh much, and at being a 7-inch pan, it also doesn't take up too much space. Now, there are downfalls to having a small ultralight pan like this. One of the downfalls is that it is extremely thin aluminum, and so, mosquito, it does not distribute or hold heat very well. If you have a flame right here in the middle, only a little spot there will get hot. So you sort of have to adjust and figure out your cooking style. I'm constantly moving food around into the center of it to get food cooked evenly. Along those same lines, as far as not holding heat very well, this doesn't come with a lid. And so, I cook a lot of fish and I'm in the backcountry, and so fuel can be an issue. So not having a lid makes me have to use quite a bit more fuel if I want to cook a fish through. So what I do is I take a little square of tin foil like so, which weighs probably, I don't know, 1/8 of an ounce, and however many times I intend to cook fish, that's how many little squares of tin foil I will bring. So I just use tin foil as a lid. It weighs nothing, it takes up literally no space, and it has actually worked really well for me. The other thing I do with the pan is I have this small Gsi Spatula, which probably also maybe weighs 1/4 of an ounce, and it's plastic, and it is the only utensil that I will use in here. So I don't use a metal spoon or fork to eat out of this. I only use this plastic spatula, which just happens to also make me not have to bring like an extra fork or anything, so it does save some space and weight. Overall, I really love this pan. I would absolutely buy it again, and I would recommend it. It does take a little bit of practice to get used to figuring out how to cook your food in it, but once you get that down, this is a fantastic product. There are a couple other products out on the market. There's another pan I found that is aluminum that does have a lid that is, I think, a 6.5-inch pan that is lightweight, but it also comes with a giant pot, and the whole set is something like $80, and I just don't need a giant pot. And so this setup right here has worked really well for me for a couple years, and I'm gonna stick with it. There's another company called Frybake, and they make, you guys should go check them out. I'll put a link in the description down below. But they have a bunch of different camping and backpacking style pots and pans that do have lids and like a pot holder. They do get a little bit heavy, you know, on the like 1 pound side, which isn't too bad considering what you're getting. But like I said, go check them out. I'll put a link in the description down below. So next up is my cook pot and stove and all of my sort of little knickknacks that you need for cooking. So for this, I use a long handle titanium spoon. It's just real easy to get all the way down into there, or if you're eating a you know, one of those pre-made freeze-dried meals, freeze-dried meals, you know, the long handle spoon allows you to get down in there without getting your hand all messy. Also, just FYI, get a polished spoon bowl. Feels weird with the rough, if you were to eat off like the sandpaper feeling part. Just get a polished spoon bowl. Now with the Jetboil, obviously it requires fuel. Bless you. Obviously it requires fuel. You don't have to buy the Jetboil brand. There are plenty of manufacturers that make these fuel canisters. This is a 100 gram. They also come in like 240 and I think 500. This little fuel can, which is unopened, will last me for probably a 3 to 4 day trip. That's boiling water, making coffee, and cooking up potatoes and fish and stuff like that. So like I say, you don't have to get the Jetboil brand, but you do need to make sure that you get the isobutane propane mix if you are using a Jetboil. I have the Jetboil Micromo, which is 500 milliliters, and I believe it's the smallest one they make, and this is pretty much perfect for me, just as, you know, eating my own meals, not cooking for anyone else, just a solo backpacker. It's the perfect size to boil up water for coffee, or boil up water to pour enough water in one of those pre-made freeze-dried meals, or, you know, add your own stuff in here and then cold soak or whatever. The Micromo for one person is a super great size, and obviously the lightest one. Let's open this up. I got a bunch of stuff in here. I'll show you what we got. Pulling the lid off here, and the lid does have a like a drink hole and then drain holes. If I don't know if you're making pasta or something in your tiny thing, but lid works great. So in here, I did opt to purchase the French press kit with the Jetboil. So the French press kit is, if you guys haven't seen it, which probably you have, but essentially you just put your hot water and your coffee in here. If you watch my videos, you've seen this before, but then you just press down. Works fantastic. It doesn't weigh much, but it also isn't necessary. But I'm not an ultralight guy. I'm an ultra comfort guy, so French press, I dig it. Also in there, I carry some soap, which is biodegradable, and I just use it, you know, if you cook a lot of fish with oil or potatoes or whatever, you just need something to clean that oil off of your dishes. And then obviously I can use it to wash my hands or my face or whatever. I also carry a small scrub pad, which I just cut off of a scrub pad from home. If I get any real stuck on, if I burn something on or something, I can use this to scrub out my pot. I wouldn't use it to scrub my pan because of the non-stick coating, but this literally weighs nothing. I carry a mini Bic lighter, bright pink, so that I can find it if I drop it. The Jetboil does come with a click ignition, but it doesn't always work, so just carrying a little Bic lighter works fantastic. In here, one of my favorite items is actually this little handkerchief, and I just use this as like to lay down on the rocks or to lay down on a log, or the dirt or whatever, and I can set my items on there and, you know, feel like I'm not going to lose them. I can set my food on here, whatever. I can use it to clean my pot out, wash my face off. Yeah, it's just really nice. One of those little creature comforts. Like if you want to get real fancy, you could, like, you know, set this out on some rocks, and you could lay out some cheese and crackers and meats or something if you wanted to get all fancy in the woods. But yeah, one of my favorite items is this little handkerchief. Now into the meat and potatoes of this thing. So in here, I have the the pan holder for the Jetboil. You essentially need this little pan holder if you're going to cook with a pan on the Jetboil. And then in there is the actual stove and regulator. And one of the reasons that I love the Jetboil so much is that it has a really fantastic regulator. So I can cook at a very low heat if I want to use my frying pan, or if I want to just simmer something in this pot, I can cook at a very low heat using this, or I can really crank it up and, you know, boil a couple cups of water in like 60 seconds. Now obviously the regulator screws on to that fuel canister, and then the pot just kind of snaps on here to the just kind of snaps on there to the regulator. I know Jetboils get a lot of shit, but I really have had a lot of success with this, and I really love my Jetboil. It holds pretty much everything that I need, except for the fuel canister in this little pot here. It boils water like crazy fast, and it's been a real trooper for me. I haven't had a single issue with it, even though I've been using it a ton for a couple years. I will obviously boil water in here, cold soak stuff in here. I even, if you guys have seen some of my videos, I've even deep fried fish, mushrooms, and potatoes in this. Be careful if you're deep frying though. I mean, I actually don't recommend it. I just have to not recommend it, even though I do it. But if you're going to deep fry in here, be very careful. You want to use a very low heat on that regulator, because water will dissipate heat. The oil will just build and build up heat, and it will actually start to melt your koozie here. But as much as I love this Jetboil, there are some issues with it. And one of the issues is that it weighs significantly more than other possible stove systems out on the market. If you just got a little, just one of those little pocket stoves that weigh like 1.5 ounces that attach to your fuel canister, and then a titanium, 500 ml mug, you could cut down the weight of this by like 80%. So with everything in here, this weighs exactly 1 pound, exactly 16 ounces on my home scale, which is pretty heavy. But like I said, I'm an ultra comfort guy, not an ultralight guy. Another issue with the Jetboil is that it is expensive. I believe one of these, the Micromo, runs you about $120 to $140, depending on, if you get it on sale or not. And the last issue that I have with this, which actually isn't an issue with Jetboil itself, is that I got one that is too small. Well, that's not quite true. This size, the Micromo, the smallest one they sell, is perfect for me for solo backpacking adventures. But I do like to deep fry stuff in this, and I wish I had actually got the Minimo, which is the short stubby one, which actually has twice the volume of this. It's just short and fatter around. So I think I might actually get that pot, and depending on the adventure I'm going on, what I intend to cook and how I intend to cook it, I might mix and match pots as I go. But the Jetboil overall, despite the price and the weight, I think is a fantastic product, easy to use, and it does everything I want it to do. So I definitely would recommend the Jetboil. Unless you're through hiking, if you're doing like the PCT or something, I'd take a lighter option, but I do love my Jetboil. And last but certainly not least is a knife. Now you gotta have a knife if you want to chop up your fish, clean your fish, you know, chop up veggies, whatever you're doing. So this is the knife I have been using for several years. It's less expensive. I think it was only about 30 or 35 bucks. It's actually called a Honey Badger, and I've had a lot of success with this knife. I really love it. I've come to really love the flick open there. It's just super fantastic, easy to use. The reason that I exchanged knives is because this knife has, if you can see, it has a drop point with a very big belly and not a lot of flat cutting surface. So while this knife is great for a lot of things, food prep, it is slightly lacking in. Get out of here, mosquito. Go on, boy. That is why I actually picked up this CRKT. I think it's called the Thero. Let's see if you can see that there. Now, you'll notice that this has a longer, flatter-ish, swooped up blade, like so, with kind of a tanto point. And as far as like chopping veggies goes, or gutting a fish, or cleaning anything, I've had this knife for several weeks now and used it a ton. I really love this blade shape as far as food prep goes, as well as with the tip being a kind of tanto tip there. When I go into a fish to clean it, I'm less likely to catch guts, or even on like a rabbit or something, I'm less likely to catch guts on this as I go in and angle it like that. So I recommend a longer, flatter blade. I've really enjoyed this kind of swooshed up blade. It makes cutting through things very easy. But yeah, you gotta have a knife, and I always carry a pocket knife. I love that flick open, super fantastic. Like I said, I've only had this knife a few weeks, but I've used it a ton already, and I freaking love it. All right, you guys, well, that's my Backcountry Cook Kit. Let me know in the comments down below if you think I should make any alterations to her, or what you would add or take away. I'm pretty happy with it, despite some of the cons, but let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you on the next adventure.